What's up, everybody? Frankie Finn here, chilling outside on a Monday. It's pretty nice to be in Mexico where it's freaking warm, man. I'll tell you that. Just a little heads up for you guys before we get started here. There is a cool little package we put together for you Go High Level users, which includes a free 1 hour consultation with Go High Level themselves. So anything you want to build, whether it's simple, just like I'm trying to figure out how to get started, to like I have this really complex thing, help me figure it out. You get a free hour with them. We've also helped you build some campaigns to onboard people nice and easily. We're working on some campaigns right now, some snapshots to keep people a long time. And we also have a couple of money-making things in there. You know, campaigns I've sent for clients, made them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And as well, campaigns that don't require clients to be good at answering the phone because we just automatically book them into a calendar. So if you guys haven't already checked that out, I will post a link for you below this video. If you're interested, go ahead and grab that stuff from Go High Level. And I should, full transparency, by the way, it's an affiliate link. I am not a Go High Level user, but we got tons of peeps in our masterminds that are. So I developed it for those guys because I know how you guys are using them, and I think you guys are geniuses. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Got some, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I got some chill out music going on my new birthday present Bose speaker. So let's get into the good stuff here. So, Rohit, why do Google ads tend to have a higher conversion rate than Facebook ads? Rohit, it would seem like in principle, like I know most people would tell you, well, that's because Google is better traffic than Facebook. And that is not so, okay? Because the same people who use Facebook are the same people who use Google. But if you understand this principle, you'll be able to get the best buyers really easily. I'll tell you a real life experience I had. So when I first started SEOing my real estate site, which was my first ever online business, which was the thing indirectly that led me into SEO and this whole agency game. So I ranked number 2 for the keyword real estate investing. That brought me 2,000 or 3,000 visitors every single month, like clockwork, for just one keyword. And I sold almost nobody of that because I was terrible. And I also ranked number 1 for a keyword at the time, which was short sale course. And it had 100 searches a month, and we would make 15 sales. So we would close 15% of the traffic. So to answer your question, why does Google seem to be better than Facebook ads? Is because buying is a continuum. And in Google, it's for most people, it's easier. What's up, Dragon? It's easier to find people later on in the continuum. So like, for example, somebody might go to the Google and they might type cameras, and then they do some work on digital cameras, and then they find the best ones for $300 to $500, and then they narrow it down to a brand, and then they have a specific camera, and then they might look for reviews of that camera, and then they might look for a discount. And you know, if somebody's looking for a discount, they've already made up their mind about which camera they're going to buy, and they're further on down the road. So in Google, often it's easy to identify that. Like, we deal with that a lot in my space. Because when somebody types in a personal injury lawyer, they've had to be in an accident, they've seen the commercials, they know the insurance company's fucking them, they've done some research, so they're like pretty far down the continuum. But if you understand it's a continuum, you can also identify those things in the buying process. You'd be amazed at how many people I get into our mastermind. This is not necessarily an intentional thing. I just like try and help everybody. But sometimes people are about to buy somebody else's mastermind, and I just share a couple cool things with them that I think would help them on their journey to that mastermind. And they come along and say, well, how about yours? So if you understand buying is a continuum, you can get people at the right place on Facebook or Google. But it's the same people on both. So don't get the idea that Google's automatically better than Facebook, because it's not. Especially in the beginning of those research stages, in the beginning of the continuum, it's actually more expensive than Facebook to go after the same kind of thing. Ravi, how do you cold message a business owner on your friends list? I have a remodeling contractor on my friends. He's just someone I added through Facebook and doesn't really know me. Usually I'm pretty okay with talking to inbound leads, but my outbound chat game is 0. Can anyone share a script or share how you strike up a conversation with a Facebook business owner friend that works? Do you start directly with your pitch? Do you ask them about their business? Most people can detect that you are going to pitch to them even if you are asking about their business, unless you bait them switching into thinking you are a customer. Do you comment on their post for a while and then strike a conversation that goes directly to your pitch? Ravi, I feel you on all levels, right? Like, Cold pitching, people, is hard work. And I'll tell you, just for transparency, we only ever use cold pitching to validate an offer because I want the most skeptical people to help me validate an offer. If it works on those people, then it works on anybody. But we don't tend to actually do a whole lot of scaling in our agency with cold outreach. So it's ironic that we use it as a tool. We get our stuff working, and then I like to take that into paid ads and things like that. So having said that, I'll tell you the worst thing you can do is greet a stranger and just give them some long, generic, boring pitch. It's what like 99% of people do. And the best place to start their conversation, where most people want to start the conversation in general, in any sales conversation, is about their product. I got the greatest SEO service on the planet. Our web design is amazing. We have some killer Facebook ads. And where you always want to start the conversation is them and their business. And so I'll tell you, one of the easiest comments to get the ball rolling is just click on their profile, see what they do, click the damn website link, take 10 to 15 seconds and read the damn thing. And you don't have to like full read it, just skim it enough to get an idea what they do. And then that's a very easy place to open the conversation. For example, I'll get people who reach out to me and say, I'm very interested in talking about your business. And I know they actually, that's just a copy and paste line, because in one click they could have found out what my business is, right? So I know they didn't take that extra step. That's very different than somebody said, hey, I saw you wrote this cool book Beyond the Agency Box, right? Like, I'm an author, that's my baby, I want to talk about it. So always start the conversation in their baby. As a general rule, you're going to have so much more success talking about their baby than your product. And everyone does the opposite, by the way. And then I usually like to ask, and this is a real skill that's hard to learn, but when you get it, it's game-changing, is knowing how to open. And the way I open is really, really simple, is I just ask, do you do anything related to, or can you handle more? Do you work with blank? And the blank is the thing I do. So it'll be like, do you handle more motorcycle cases? Do you guys handle motorcycle cases? Yes, we do. And then the transition is really, really simple. When you're transitioning to somebody, you know, you've been talking about their baby, is hey, I might have an idea for us to work together. I had an idea how to bring you some motorcycle cases. Is it okay to share a little bit of info? And that's the other thing that not enough people do, is they just kind of like vomit their entire sales script on somebody who didn't ask for it. And I find it's much, much more effective to ask permission if it's okay to even send them more info. I always like want to check in if it's okay. Would you be opposed to me sending you some info? Is it okay if I send you some info? Stuff like that, because it allows you to like move it forward, but in a way where they're respected. Right? Like nothing feels more disrespectful than somebody you just met goes and bukakis, you know, like your entire inbox. So the best way I found to do that is that little 3-step where you just open the conversation about them and their baby. Then you ask them if they handle whatever it is that you handle, and then you say, hey, I had some ideas about how we might work together. Is it okay to send you a little info? And if you respect a person like that, you'd be amazed at how many of those like really, you know, masculine pitches can come off like very gentle and very welcomed, because most people are not welcome in the inbox as a general rule. Maria says, Frankie Finn, in your book, you mention referral email campaigns for lawyers where they don't pay up front, but only if they get a client. How do you follow up with that and get paid? Firstly, Maria, we talked a little bit about this in the comment section, but I just wanted, for the benefit of those of you guys on YouTube who watch this and stuff like that, I thought this was a really good question. Here's the deal with running referral email campaigns. There's a couple of like nuances that if you get them, they'll make your life so much easier. And one of those things is understanding if you're going to generate a quick result for a client and bring trust, it's almost always going to be done with the resources they already have, not in terms of getting them new something. So like, for example, like almost everybody has an offer where they have to be successful, they have to generate them new traffic. So you think about SEO, I'm going to go get you new search traffic from Google. The problem with that is it takes a fucking long time to work. And so it's asking a big leap of faith from a client. So almost always they have resources that are not fully maximized. And I'll tell you that the simplest resource that never gets fully maximized in any business is the customer list. And so they have people who would do business with them today, if they simply fucking reminded them that they existed and made them a helpful offer, they would do it. And so the whole idea with a referral campaign is you start with a resource they already have, thereby you can produce a quick result. And then it makes it much easier to sell your big thing in step 2 Like you can get almost 100% sign up rates, where if you, like, for example, I ran a campaign for a lawyer, I brought him $100,000 worth of business. How hard do you think it would be then to say, hey, this is a more longer term SEO package, it'll take a year to work, but if you have that kind of patience, we can make it work. And he's now saying, well, I'll just pay you with 100,000 you just generated me, right? So it's very easy to do that. So that's a big nuance of it. Now, having said that, the other thing that the reason why I do it in this methodology, and this is actually the main reason, the more you do this, swear to God, if you got 20 amazing clients and you got 2 shitty ones, when you go to sleep and your head is on the pillow, you are stressed about those 2 people that are fucking unhappy with you and hate you and are making your life miserable, and how you're going to handle, like, they just take up so much space in your head. And it's difficult to fire clients. You can do it, by the way. I've done it. And many of you guys have as well. But firing a client is way more difficult than just not offering them a second date. So, like, say you sell them a referral campaign, it takes 3 days to run, and at the end of 3 days you realize this person is an asshole. You just simply don't offer them day 4, and you just discontinue that relationship right there at that point. It's like a first date that doesn't have a second date, and then you don't have to, like, worry about those people, because they will reveal themselves in those 3 days as, like, pain in the ass clients in one form or another, or just not a good fit for all those reasons. And then the other thing is, nobody tells you this, but you can get paid for these referral campaigns. I just like going up and, like, taking, because my goal in doing this, by the way, is different than your goal maybe. What most people are after in the agency game is to get paid, right? Like, I want to be able to live free and do that, and I totally get that and understand that. My goal is to acquire the asset, which is going to get me paid again and again and again. So what I'm after is a good customer list, because I know a good customer list can pay for itself over and over and over and over and over and over again. So what I'm looking for is that. And so there's a reason why I do it for free, is because this is my personal way. It's like I'm managing that risk to potentially get a huge, huge asset that for, like, could, pay for my family's life 20 times over. So having said that, you absolutely can charge for these referral campaigns. You just charge an intro price. And I think that leads into our next question, which I'm going to ask, because Jennifer asked a good 2-part question to this. To build off of this, how do you know to charge your client after they've gotten a new client as a result of your email campaign? Maybe it's in your book, but my copy hasn't arrived. So there's 2 things to that kind of jump out to this, Jennifer. One of those is, nobody tells you this, but your pricing is always going to be based on the value that it's producing for a client and the end result, basically. So a lot of times we think of our pricing as like what we're going to do. I'm going to do SEO and it's a lot of work, therefore I should charge for that. Or I'm going to build this website, it's going to be a lot of work. But I learned this when I used to do websites. Most clients are completely fucking okay if you just use a template and get them up and running quicker than possible. In fact, they prefer that most times than a custom design. That isn't to say there aren't people who don't want custom designs ever, but most of the time they would rather you just customize something that already works and is working, because they just want the end result. And it took me a lot of years to be able to kind of reconcile that it's actually more valuable to a client to get them up and running with a template and than it is to get them up and running with this custom thing that might take 6 months. And so we're always pricing our stuff based on the result. And that's why I have that concept called the $100 bill and the nickel, which is think about what is my customer's most valuable business? What is my client's most valuable business? And I always give the example, but it's just easy to get your head around. If a dentist gets somebody for a $99 checkup, he can get a lot of those people, but he doesn't make a lot of money. So I call that the nickel. Those are like really cheap volume kind of leads. If I bring a dentist a set of veneers and he makes $40,000 off of one patient, that's what I call the $100 bill. And every niche has some kind of spectrum of those 2 points. And if you focus on bringing the $100 bills, you'll be able to price your stuff higher than everybody else and get people to say yes without any resistance. It's like there's coaches out there in the world, and a lot of you guys help build leads for online coaches. Some of them have $97 courses. I'm sure they want to sell their $97 course, but they also, some of those same people have $40,000 masterminds. If you help them sell one $40,000 mastermind, you're doing more monetarily for them than selling 100 of their $97 course, and you got to work way harder for that. So that's the first thing about pricing is your value fluctuates based on the results you're bringing it, and I should also say who you're bringing it for. The other piece is how I like to price my stuff is so that it leads into my ongoing with the least amount of resistance. I'll give you a real life example, okay? let's say I have a monthly service that's $2,500. I know some of you guys are a little lower than that. I know some of you guys are higher, but it's kind of an average where a lot of you guys are in and around. So let's say you're charging $2,500 a month for your monthly service. Okay. If you break $2,500 a month down to weekly, it's about $625. Okay. Like doing the math, like dividing it into 4. You get some hummingbirds over there, by the way. I got a hummingbird feeder. It's kind of amazing. So $625 for a week. That's what it's going to, a client would pay for you working with you full time. So I might take my intro offer and probably price it in the $800 to $1,000 range and make it last a week. And now we have an intro where we can work together for a week. And so you charge $800 to $1,000 as that intro offer. And then what ends up happening if that intro goes well and you like the client and you like to continue on with them, the easiest thing you're going to say is, you just paid me $800 for 1 week. What's up, Nikki Two Angels? Yeah, the hummingbirds are awesome. Some good old hummingbird medicine. So $800 to $1,000 for a week, and then you say, hey, if you'd like to continue ongoing, you've already paid me $800 for a week once, or $1,000 for a week once. Let's just keep doing that, and for the ability to work together long term, I'll give you a discount of $400 a month, and we can do something like this every week, and it'll cost you $600 a week. How does that sound to you? And so it's a very easy. So you want to like I said, set it up so that your intro price like effortlessly leads into your ongoing price. And I'll tell you, I like to do I'll give you a discount to keep going, but they've done hundreds of years of testing with direct mail, and they found if somebody will pay you $79 one time, then the most likely thing they will pay you monthly is also $79 a month. If somebody pays you $279, then the most likely monthly thing they will pay you is $279. So when you understand this, you price your intro offer so that it leads into the ongoing pretty seamlessly. So you work backwards. You figure out, this is the price I want to charge. And often we have people do this from their goal. So I'll have people tell me I want to get to 10 grand a month. I'm charging $2,500 a month. That means 4 clients. That means you need a $1,000 intro offer. Get your $1,000 intro offer accepted, and then you'll transition into the $2,500 a month thing. That's how I look at kind of pricing those intro offers, if you go that way. And just be mindful when I say this is our way to be successful at agency stuff. There are many ways people can be successful. So if giving the intro offer doesn't feel right to you and you want to go straight to marriage, we do have people who go straight to like the ongoing services. I like it personally because I like to feel out how a client's going to behave, so I don't end up with knuckleheads that just ruin my day and feel like they own my soul because they're paying me. I like to have what I call clients who are like friends with money, and I think it's way better to have friends with money. Boniejo says, is there anyone here who charges for the strategy session, or how do you offer it for free? This is going to blow your mind a little bit, Bonnie, here, is that we don't even do strategy sessions anymore. We're the agency that closes people right over a little video and some chat. Having said that, there are principles with it. The reason, by the way, that most people give away the strategy session for free is like, yeah, people would pay you for it, is because most of the people that get on the strategy session, if you could look at their temperature like out of 10 for how warm they are to buying, 10 being like, oh my God, I have to buy this thing, in 3 or like a 1 being like very little interest, mildly curious kind of thing. Most people get people on the phone who are 3, 4 out of 10. And so if you tried charging for a strategy session for somebody who's 3 or 4 out of 10, they simply will not pay it. And you can, by the way, close people who are 3 out of 10. What I like to do is more pre-selling that gets people who are only 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s. And so we do occasionally have a phone call in our agency. I should be transparent. But they're like 5-minute phone calls. Like the person's watched all our videos. They know our price. They know everything. And they just say, hey, I just have one last minute question. Do you mind just jumping on real quick with me and answering this? And then I might answer that one question. So I do like have the occasional like 5-minute strategy session. But most of that is because the offer isn't really clear and the offer isn't really desirable. And so I'll give you an example of like this. When I used to do SEO, people wanted phone calls. People wanted long-winded proposals. I often had to chase those people. We sometimes had to like cold call them and like just ruthlessly follow up. And we would close some of those people, but it was never any fun. One day we had a plastic surgeon come to us and said, hey, my $100 bill, my most expensive, most valuable client is Mommy makeovers. Could you build me a mommy makeover website and rank it for mommy makeover keywords? We went and looked into it. Turns out we could. So we built him a website and we ranked it for those keywords. And he loved that. And he ended up telling other surgeons. And that was very easy to sell. I would say, hey, they would say, I want a mommy makeover site too. Can you make me one in Chicago? How much does it cost? Blah, blah, blah. And we would sell them in like 2 minutes. No follow-up, no proposal. And both of those are examples of offers of essentially the same thing. The end result being SEO, but one of those was a very hard to sell offer, like, hey, give me some money and I'll rank you. That was and wait a long time and I'll rank you. That was one offer. The other one was, we'll build you a mommy makeover mini website and rank you for those keywords, and they loved that one. We had very little sales resistance. We didn't make proposals. There weren't long talks. People were just like, I want it, give it to me. And so usually if you're in a situation where the strategy sessions are like kind of like you're thinking about charging for them, what I would suggest is actually do your pre-selling through videos and things like that and eliminate the strategy session altogether, and you'll have a much more fun time. I think that's a better way of running an agency, and I'll tell you another reason to do that. Eventually your agency will get big enough where you will not be able to manage sales calls yourself, and you can even get to a point where you have multiple salespeople you're managing and multiple calls. And salespeople have up and down days. Man, they're human, right? Like one day, like I just had one of my virtual assistants just had a baby last night, and I had another one 3 days ago had their house burned down, right? So like things happen to humans. My videos very rarely take days off. They work. They don't have their house burned down. They don't have kids. They don't have a fight with the wife, and they just keep working like clockwork. And so that's the big reason why I think you'll find it a better way to do it. Having said that, if you want to charge for a strategy session, of course you can. All right, what do we got next? Julie says, what software do you use for payroll and HR, time tracking, etc.? Is there one that provides forms needed and storage? Okay, Julie, I'm going to give you my experience with 2 ways of managing people. So in my old SEO agency, I used to use a software called Time Doctor. I believe Time Doctor is still available. It's been more than 5 years since I used Time Doctor. And Time Doctor, the person would click a button on their screen that says, I'm logging into work now. And it would just every like 15 minutes or so capture what they were doing just to make sure they were on task. It would take a screenshot. And when they would finish work, they would click the button and go, I'm logging out of work. And so it was very easy to track their hours. If you wanted to see what they were doing, you could do that. By the way, I wrote about that in the book. I had one of my employees I found out was watching cartoon porn on company time. Always a little bit of a shocker when you're like, hey, it doesn't seem like you've been doing a lot of SEO today. Well, that's because I was looking at a naked lady getting fingered by an octopus. So there was always that. That's how I used to manage my employees. So I used a software called Time Doctor, and I got all these stuff. And I'll tell you, I hated doing it that way, but I didn't know a better way. How I manage my virtual assistants now, and I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but I think you'll like this better, is I spell out to them, these are the outcomes I want to produce for clients. And so these are the tasks that are important to me for getting these outcomes. And what I want from you is to produce results in terms of these things that matter. And having said that, I want to give you as much freedom and flexibility as you need. So I'm going to pay you a salary. I'm not going to tell you how many hours you need to work. I'm not going to tell you when. I'm not going to tell you to report into me. What I want are these outcomes produced again and again and again and again like that. And what I find is doing it that way, I just pay my employees a set amount per month. They produce the results that need to be produced, and I don't have to watch over them like babies and make sure, like, are you on task every 20 minutes? That kind of like micromanaging thing never worked for me. So you can use software to manage your employees, and I'm not saying not to do that, but I'll tell you, I much prefer just give the employees the results, tell them what's needed, and you'll be amazed that they're more capable than most people realize. If you give them a clear expectation, a clear result of what you want. David, for the service offerings, once you've developed the content for the client and optimized it, what additional monthly work are you doing to justify the fee? David, this is a really good question. I have a different mindset perspective on this after all the years. I used to always feel like SEO, like, it sounds like you're doing SEO because it sounds like you're optimizing client or content for clients and optimizing it. This is a hard thing to wrap your head around. Clients do not care about the doing. Doing is a poor and middle class value that's really hard to shake in this agency space. I always say, I have never met anybody in this agency space that is a trust fund baby. Like, there's nobody with like $100 million around sitting in an account and says, you know what I really want to do this week? I want to run Facebook ads for people. Almost all of us in this agency world grow up poor and middle class. And poor and middle class values say, work hard for your money. You got to earn it. You got to like pound the pavement. You got to spend the hours. You got to, and so you'll see this in most hourly employees. The longer tasks take, the more valuable it is to them, right? They get more hours, more overtime. The only way they can earn more money is having things take longer. As an entrepreneur, your thing is to produce results in the least amount of time possible. And Kevin Nations has a really awesome story that illustrates this point. Like, we solve problems for clients, mostly client acquisition problems, which are big and menacing, and it's hard to stand out from the noise. And Kevin Nations has this awesome story that illustrates this, where this general contractor goes to the dentist, and the dentist turns out to be his old buddy from high school, and he's like really, really happy to see him. And he tells his buddy, my tooth back here hurts, and the dentist says, I'm going to take it out for you. It'll cost $600, and it'll take 10 minutes. And he leaves for a minute, and he comes back, and in the time he's been gone, the guy's thinking, $600 for 10 minutes? Like, that's ridiculous. It takes me, I make $30 an hour. It takes me 20 hours. I would have to work half a week, and this guy wants to do 10 minutes. So he comes back to in the waiting room, and he decides he's going to confront his dentist friend. And he says, $600, 10 minutes. And the dentist says, if it's time you're worried about, I can make it take longer. And quickly he realizes that obviously he doesn't want it to take longer. He wants the result. He wants the pain to be gone. He wants the tooth out. And so, as for your original question, is you are not justifying fees with clients with what you are doing. Clients don't care about your busy work. Like I said earlier, if you gave them a choice between I can have you a finished website built off of this template in an hour, and I'll custom make you something from the ground up, I'll tell you 99% of clients are going to choose, get me the shit done in an hour. And so you are always in your agency, always pricing yourself around what is going to get done. What result are you going to produce? What problems are you solving? And what is the value of those problems you are solving? Because otherwise, you're going to invent busy work for clients just to look like you're doing shit, and what you'll find is the clients don't really give a fuck about the busy work, and they won't respect you and what you're doing, and you'll always feel like kind of like cross-examined. So this is a deeper thing, which is you want to be thinking about, what's up, Hetty? You want to be thinking about like producing, like these are questions you want to ask yourself, like, okay, so the client has this problem. What is the biggest result I could produce for them in the shortest amount of time? And the more and more you ask yourself that question, the better and better your answer will get. And you'll start to think about, and often it's what you take out of it that actually makes your service valuable. And I did a video on this the other day, but just so you understand the power of this. So one of our mastermind members, Kyle, he was just posting in the group, or I was just posting in the group on his behalf, just had his first $100,000 month on in December 31st, hit it right before New Year's Eve, which I think is a really, really cool way to start the year. And so one of the things, the conversations we had with Kyle, once you get your sales in place, you have all these delivery problems. Like most of your problems become client delivery problems, keeping up with the demand and fulfilling on all the promises. They're not like sales problems anymore. And Kyle was dealing with this, where he was asking me about like, how do I get all my standard operating procedures so everybody can do everything and I don't have to like micromanage this? And I said, it's not an issue of SOPs. It's an issue of the fact that what you're trying to create a process out of is too bloated. And so what we looked at was we started looking at his processes. He was doing a whole bunch of SEO for his clients, and he found that most of what was producing the result for the clients, in his case, was his Google My Business. Like, he's able to rank a Google My Business in 90 days. They get most of their phone calls. They get most of their business from the Google My Business. But he also, as part of the package, would also agree to SEO their website. And what we almost always found is that when he would get into the website, it was never properly optimized, like 9 times out of 10. So he would have to rebuild the whole thing from the ground up, get all this hosting info from a client. And he was trying to turn that into a standardized process. And what we found is it's like he was taking all of those things out, because what we noticed, what's actually producing the result, the damn My Business listing, not the whole hoopla. And so I said, why don't you just not even include that. Like, they don't care. They just want the phone to ring. And if you're going to make the phone ring as much without it, like, skip all that shit, just not even include it. And now we'll just process this really important result producing piece, the Google My Business, and all of these delivery woes kind of like went away by the wayside. But here's the thing. Okay, he's doing less delivery and busyness, but it's actually still as valuable for the client because at the end of the day, their phone rings. So it's a very dangerous thing to bring poor and middle class values to your service and think that you get paid from doing instead of getting paid from what is going to get done. They sound very similar, what I am doing and what I'm going to get done. And so, like, another just little short little Frankie-ism to help illustrate that. You know, in Canada, when you're growing up, if you're a kid and you like a teenager and you want to make some money, in wintertime, we go out and we shovel people's driveways. You like literally knock on the door and you point to the snow in the driveway and you say, would you like me to shovel it for you? And a certain percentage of people say, yes, I would. And you go and you shovel their driveway and then you knock back on the door and they pay you, I don't know, $10, $20, $30, $40. But here's the deal. They ain't paying you for the backbreaking labor. They're paying you for a driveway free of snow. And I used to have friends who did this and had a snowmobile or a snowplow, and you just go boof, and you can like be done the whole thing in like 60 seconds, right? And you knock on the door. They might not pay you as much for 60 seconds as they would for 40 minutes of backbreaking labor because they had to look out your window and see you doing it. But most of them are happy to pay the same amount of money for doing it with a machine and being done. So here's the deal for you guys is, what's up, Carlo? Gonna see you soon. That's gonna be exciting. So you want to think about pricing your stuff based on the value of the results you produce and not based on your doing. Get out of this idea that you need to justify fees by doing. In fact, we have a new service offering we're expanding this year that I'm really excited about because the delivery is really easy. It's like, it takes me like 3-4 hours to set it up, but it's one time for a client and then it just works around the clock. And when I'm showing them the monthly reports, I'm showing them what is getting done. I ain't showing them like, hey, I've been slaving away for 400 hours behind the scene. I'm saying, here's what's getting done on your behalf. So that is a big, long rant, but I think it's really, really important to understand that's what you're getting paid for. And that's why I'm so big on that $100 bill and nickel concept, because if you just want to raise your value, just raise the value of the business you bring a client, you'll be amazed how much it comes along with it, right? Like I said, yes, you can bring a dentist $99 checkups, but you can bring them just one $40,000 set of veneers, which is not that much harder, and be much more valuable to the dentist. So long rant, I know, but I think this pricing stuff is so important in getting your fees. That's all I got for you guys in this week. I mentioned I'll put the Go High Level link below for those of you guys who are using that. And I think it's going to be an awesome year with you guys. I'm really excited seeing the progress you guys are making. So that's all I got for you guys this week. May the force be with you, and I will put the replay on YouTube for those of you guys who catch it over there. Much love, and may the force be with you.